Welcome to Masculinity Now with Arabella Tornau. Welcome to Masculinity Now with Arabella Tornau and my long-term friend Aniko Fisch. This is part 2 of a wonderful series, and I really hope that won't be our last part that we will, share with each other. I just wanted to drop in gently and say what our last episode was all about, because this episode now is part 2, and we will go deeper into a modality that Aniko is also practicing. But first of all, Aniko is the founder of Therify Los Angeles. She is a wonderful, gifted, holistic guide. She works with Spinal Flow, the Therify, that's the Tesla-based frequency healing, and the Face Up method, supporting nervous system regulation and embodied healing. Hi, welcome, Aniko, back at Masculinity Now.
Thank you, Arabella. It's so good to be back and chatting with you. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you. I think you noticed I did my little notes because this time I really wanted to catch up with my English properly. I made my homework.
You're doing a phenomenal job. It's not easy hosting a podcast not in your mother tongue. That's really challenging. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you so much. But it's wonderful to connect with you here again. And our last conversation is out now. And if you didn't listen to that now, you listener hearing that, I really want to emphasize that this episode is awesome because, Aniko, you are sharing with us your modalities that you are using. And just for a little recap, can you dive a little bit deeper again into the modalities and also in your why?
Absolutely. So I offer at this point these 3 different modalities. I've offered different modalities in the past, but these are the ones that I feel really called to provide to people right now. And so I started this particular business in Los Angeles with the Therify, which is a cold plasma frequency healing technology. Really incredible technology inspired by Nikola Tesla and his healing designs, and then some other inventors as well. And basically, it's you lie in an electromagnetic field, a coherent field of plasma, and it completely realigns your body. It brings all different layers of the body back into balance. So not just the physical, but also the mental, the emotional, the energetic. So really powerful. And then I like to think of it as the tool I use to enhance the other 2 modalities that I offer. So one of the other ones is Spinal Flow, as you mentioned, and that's really working with the energetics of the spine, healing, realigning the spine, but through very gentle, non-invasive touch. So it's very different to chiropractic, which is more external manipulation of the vertebrae. And with Spinal Flow, I'm just doing very gentle contact on the sacrum to activate the body's own healing life force, which in Spinal Flow we call the spinal wave, which then starts to flow through the spine. And this is what actually clears blockage in the spine so the vertebrae can be free again. So that's very powerful. And we'll go deeper into this today, but when you work with realigning and healing and clearing blockages from the spine, all sorts of incredible things can happen, and you can really experience profound, deep states of healing and transformation. So yeah, very, very powerful method. I'm super grateful that I found it. And then the most recent addition to my practice is a method called Face Up, which is, we call it neuro-emotional sculpting. So it is a deep tissue fascia release in the face, the neck, the jaw, the back of the head. And you're working directly with the nervous system when you're doing this deep touch in this part of the body. but you're also at like the cherry on top is that you're creating like this really nice lifted, sculpted look without any sort of invasive procedure like Botox or fillers or, you know, whatever people do these days. So yeah, and I would say the thing that ties all three together is they're all very different, but what all of them do is they really work deeply with the nervous system, getting this system into deep parasympathetic state, which is our rest and digest and heal state, right? So when the body is able to shift into that state, it has a much easier time healing itself. And really, in my belief, like the body is incredibly brilliant, and it has the capacity to heal and rebalance itself from anything. The issue typically is that our systems are stuck in fight flight, you know, because of daily stressors, traumas, you name it, physical injury. And so if the body's not downregulated into that restful state of parasympathetic, it's a lot harder to heal. So these modalities just help the body to get into the ideal state for its healing powers to really shine and take over.
Wonderful. Thank you. That was a beautiful recap.
Thank you. I hope that
No, it was amazing.
okay.
It was really amazing. And can I ask you why? Why are you so fascinated about these modalities?
Yeah, so that's a really deep question. I could give you so many different answers and go on so many different tangents, but I think for me, it's a very personal why, because I personally experienced very debilitating mystery illness in my kind of or early to mid 20s, and it lasted for a good 5 years before I felt like I could function again. And so I went on this like dark night of the soul journey to try to heal my body and to understand like what conditions the body can thrive in, and how to really support the body in healing and realigning itself. So I tried so many different modalities. I tried to understand you know, why the body expresses dis-ease and imbalance in the first place. And you know, even before I got sick, I was already really fascinated by the body. I grew up in a household where my parents raised me on like organic, healthy foods, and they always gave me food as a healing remedy whenever I got a cold or a flu or something like that. So I was always fascinated by this idea that the body can take this plant from nature and turn it into healing medicine that basically shifts the whole internal chemistry. Yeah, so I've always been fascinated by the powers of the body, but then it was really when I experienced my own health challenge that I realized, you know, this is my mission in this lifetime, is to help people to get more in their bodies and to really support their bodies in a way that that it can function daily and rebalance itself daily without needing a lot of external intervention. You know, basically empowering people to activate their own innate healing intelligence.
That's wonderful. Even like recently, I spoke about the capacity for our own body to heal itself, and that true, you know, guides, they don't tell you that they can fix it. They also therapists, when they're good therapists, when they're good, you know, holistic guides, energy workers, they will always, always, always tell you that your body or yourself can get all the answers, and whatever you call it, it doesn't need to be healing, because you were never in a state that needed healing. It just needed a state where you allow yourself to listen, and where you allow yourself to link up with your stored emotions. And I think that's also what you do in your modalities. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And my, my philosophy is that I'm not the one doing the fixing. I'm not actually the one doing the healing. I'm just providing the right conditions for my client to heal and rebalance him or herself. That's all I'm doing. Sometimes people just need the right environment and the right encouragement and nervous system support to understand that they really can overcome pretty much any physical imbalance or challenge, or mental or emotional as well, not just physical, right? But yeah, it's really, it's not, like you're saying, a true healer, in my opinion, is the person who just reminds their client of their true healing potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And today we wanted to dive deeper into one technique that is truly, they're all dear to your heart, but this one specific technique, we wanted to dive deeper because last time you said, "Oh my God, Bella, I can talk about it for ages. There's so much that I have to say. I did my homework, I did the researches, and the most important thing, in my opinion, is I do have the experiences and I practice them." And so today I really wanted to hear more about the spinal flow and, yeah, whatever you find interesting for the listeners to find out, to hear. Maybe also I would like for you, and that's totally open, I give you not a specific, what's the English word for when you have a picture and you put a picture into a
A frame.
frame. Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm
It's
not.
like, ooh, charades, what's happening?
Is it a new game? What's going on? Um, so the frame is all yours. I just wanted to really, get a little bit also. I want to go a little bit into the scientific explanations because, especially maybe for our left brainers here.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm also very much the kind of person who I believe in the concept of energy and energy healing and distance healing and energetic transformation and all of that, but I also really like to be grounded in the science behind it, because the truth is there's so much science right now that's proving what the ancients have already known about us being energy beings first and foremost, right? And that our thoughts can affect our energy, our thoughts can affect our reality, all of that. But for me, it's always helpful to ground it into the science as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think I'll start with my fascination with the spine in particular, and working with the energetics of the spine was just seeing the kinds of results that my clients would have during and after a session. Because I think when I first did the Spinal Flow training, I was really interested in it, and it looked like it was creating a lot of really profound results for people. But for me at that point, it was more on a physical level, right? So, like if you go to a chiropractor and they'll tell you that from their perspective, any physical imbalance can be treated with chiropractic, and you can find healing for any physical imbalance through chiropractic, because they'll typically show you a chart of the spine and the central nervous system, and you'll see that the central nervous system runs through the spine, right? The spinal cord is encased in the vertebrae of the spine, and then there are all these nerves that come out of the spinal cord that innervate and give information to every single part of the body, basically every tissue, every organ, every muscle. So from a chiropractor's perspective, if there's any sort of blockage or what they would call subluxation in the spine, if you release that blockage through, in their case, external cracking, right, manipulation, then you free up any sort of blockage in nerve communication from the central nervous system to the rest of the body. And therefore, when there's more when there's enhanced communication in the body, healing is much easier to do, right, for the body. So that's the more physical explanation. So with spinal flow, it's the same thing. When you're starting to activate the spinal wave and that wave starts to move through the spine, you're actually creating movement in the vertebrae, and you're moving through any sort of blockage that's keeping the vertebrae kind of stuck in place, right? So when there's more flow, there's more nerve communication, there's enhancement of blood flow, there's all the systems start to work more efficiently so that the body can heal more efficiently, right? So at the beginning of my training, I was hearing all these stories and seeing all these people who were experiencing really cool physical shifts from a spinal flow session or just a little series of spinal flow. So whether it was like hormonal imbalances clearing up, or digestive imbalances going away, or a lot of it was just seeing people who, even during my training, there were some people who came and at the beginning they could barely walk in the room. They were in so much physical pain, and at the end of the immersion training, because we were working on each other all day long for days in a row, they were completely pain free. They would just walk out and feel completely free in their bodies. And so that was already really profound for me to see that kind of shift. And my personal experience with it on a physical level was that it definitely helped to rebalance my digestive system. And then, it also helped to realign me. My posture got better, all of that. The coolest one for me was healing. I mean, it really helped to heal my nervous system. Like, I felt a lot calmer after getting a series of spinal flow sessions. And another cool one was it regulated my cycle. So at the beginning of my cycle, every month, the first day was always excruciatingly painful. And basically, since spinal flow came into my life, I don't experience pain anymore, or if I do, it's very little. So that was huge, just that. But then, I came home and I started to offer this in my practice with clients. And that's when I started to notice more of the energetic, emotional, and mental shifts, right? And that's when it really got me excited to look more into what kind of power is held in the spine, and what are we doing when we're unlocking the spine? What exactly is happening on all these subtler levels, right? On these subtler layers of the body. So I would start having clients who, during sessions, they would have these profound visions come to them all of a sudden. Like some people describing to me that, they all of a sudden saw like a geometric shape coming out of their third eye, or they would see all these cool patterns, or a couple of them just honestly feeling like they experienced the energy of God moving through them, or the creator, whatever you want to call it. But they started to have that kind of an experience, and then they would get off the table and it looked like they were just glowing, and like they had connected to some other dimension, because it felt like it was so much more than something physical that happened to them. And then, I had people, like I had this one guy, he was a writer and he was experiencing writer's block. And then after a couple spinal flow sessions, he said that he would go home and he would just write for hours, because all of a sudden it would just all pour out of him. Yeah, it's so cool. And so after witnessing this for several months, I decided to just do deeper research, and this is when I really discovered what else might be going on within the spine and the central nervous system that might be creating such profound experience for people. So I don't know if I can go on forever, but if you want to like stop there and just ask a question or something.
No, I really want to go deeper, because everything what you said, it's awesome, because I did a little research on this topic as well, and it didn't came to me. It came to me from our teacher, but then I also, yeah, wanted to also do my own homework and dive in and see some, yeah, see also some other sources. Because you said one specific word that caught my attention, and that was the creator, God energy. And I remember the last time when we spoke and we were speaking about the spinal flow technique, and you were fascinated about it, and you did research about that so deeply. You said, in the end of the day, God is in the spine.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and I'm happy to dive into this because that's the part
Please,
that
yeah.
excites me the most. Yeah. So first of all, I pulled up a quote that I wanted to share. It's from Paramahansa Yogananda, who some people might know, and he goes, "The spine and brain are the altars of God. That's where the electricity of God flows down into the nervous system, and the searchlights of your senses are turned outwards. But when you will reverse the searchlights and be concentrated in the spine, you will behold the Maker." So, yeah, powerful quote. So essentially what he's saying is that the spine is like the highway to the infinite, to the creator, to God consciousness, to whatever you believe in. And you don't have to call it God. It's the electricity that is all around us. It's the field. It's the overruling consciousness, right? So yeah, so basically this quote represents the philosophy that all the ancients had, was that the spine was really the axis, the sacred axis, connecting heaven and earth in the body, right? So it was like, if you think about it, it's that one central pillar that runs through us, right? And I think the Taoists, they called it the celestial pillar, right? So it's basically that column within us that they saw as a conduit, literally, for divine energy to move through us. And
Wow.
and basically the way they perceived it is that the sacrum, which is at the base of the spine, is what connects us to the earth, right? It's our gravitational point. It's like our center of gravity, right? And then the top of the spine, especially the top of the brain and the cranium, is the connection to heaven. So again, that spine being what merges the divine and the physical within our physical bodies. So think about it like a highway, basically. Yeah, yeah.
What fascinates me is that, we can draw, we can have, like, everything what you said, goes back centuries, goes back thousands of years. It's ancient wisdom speaking. And now finally science is picking up on that, and we can have this conversation here, and we come back together in circle, and also starting to end the separation between spirituality and science.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's so true. Like everything that we're kind of discovering in quotes right now is something
Yeah.
that the ancients knew for millennia and were always telling us. And, what's really fascinating is the chakras, right? The concept of the chakras. You can actually, there's like scientific proof right now to show how correct the ancients were in mapping out where the chakras lie along the central channel. And through the scientific lens, there are certain nerve, they're called plexi. Like plexus is the singular term for it. Plexi is the like whatever the plural term for it.
Yeah.
And basically these nerve plexi, they come out of the spine, they come out of the spinal cord, right? So they're like little packets of nerves that come out, and they literally come out exactly in the locations where the ancients mapped out the chakras. So,
Mm.
you know, because the ancients said that the chakras are these little vortices of energy and life force, right? Like there's more accumulation of energy in these points. And literally, like science will show you with these nerve plexi, there is literally more electrical activity happening in these points. So
Cool.
so science is now proving what the ancients just knew based off of feeling, right? Like they literally
Yeah.
could just feel that these parts of their body were more potent energetically than other parts.
Mm.
So, you know, and if you think about you know, like we do all these practices to open up and clear the chakras, and basically the foundation behind that is really to open and clear out the spine so that
Mm.
energy can flow more efficiently through the spine, through the spinal cord, to these areas of energy, the chakras.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
And on like in the end of the day, like the chakras are on the spine. So
Yeah.
when you have clients, or when you did the research, did you came or can you notice a theme, like which chakra or which area or yeah, which where is like the most tension and also maybe the theme of the area of the chakra maybe also?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good question. So, I'll start by saying that when I'm doing spinal flow on someone, I'm really
Hmm.
working primarily with the root and the sacral chakras, simply
Hmm.
because I am mostly placing my hands and doing the hands-on work on the sacrum, right? Which is the base kind of like between the root chakra and the sacral, right? So the idea is that when you get this part of the spine to move, to unlock, it
Hmm.
it allows energy to rise through the rest of the spine, hence through the rest of the chakras, right?
Right.
So basically what I see is that when you activate the sacrum, and it start and literally on clients it'll start to create like a little pumping
Yeah.
motion. And everybody, some people have really intense pumping motion, other people have very subtle. But every time I contact what we call access points along the sacrum, which is
Hmm.
kind of like, you know, the button that activates the spinal wave, you start to see that sacrum it's starting to unlock on its own without, you know, needing to force anything to happen. And you see that energy starting to rise through the spine like a wave, right? Now,
Hmm.
to your question of where do I typically see it get stuck?
Hmm.
Typically, I'll see it start to get stuck either in the third chakra, so like the solar plexus area, or the
Yeah.
heart chakra.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is that in spinal flow, we talk about blockages, right?
Hmm.
So where are the most common blockages that we see? And oftentimes, when we palpate, when we like, you know, use our hands to find blockages in the spine at the beginning of a session, oftentimes we'll find the biggest blockage right behind the heart.
Yeah.
And it's like our emotional armoring.
Mm.
And what's really profound in a spinal flow session, it doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's really incredible, is when you start to activate the spinal wave from the base. It starts to move through and then it gets stuck in the heart, right? And you can see the body reacting. You can see like right behind the heart chakra, so in the thoracic area of the spine, you'll
Wow,
start
cool.
to see like a little bit of like something building up tension there, like something
Hmm.
wanting to release. You might see the muscles around the thoracic start to spasm a little bit, and like something is about to explode kind of. And
Right.
then and then we were actually trained, when if you see that, to take your hand off of the sacrum and go right over the blockage that's behind the heart and just press into it. And what
Oh, cool.
typically happens is that the person will have a huge emotional release. and
Mm-hmm.
they'll just start to cry, or scream,
Wow.
shout. Some people even sing, like all of a sudden, all
Yeah.
of this life force that's been stuck behind the heart for probably decades because
Yeah.
of, shielding the heart, making sure nobody hurts the heart, armoring, protection, all of that just gets released. And then what happens after that is that the spinal wave now moves all the way through to the brain, which is what you
Mm-hmm.
want. So it's pretty incredible. It does, sometimes it takes a series of sessions to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody needs it, but ideally with a spinal flow session, what you want is to see the wave moving all the way from the tailbone all the way to the cranium, right? And you want to see that pumping action happen. But typically, yeah, it's the heart and sometimes the solar plexus before the heart that have the most blockage. And I'm sure you know more about chakras than I do, so I'm sure that makes sense to you, right?
Oh man, that makes total sense because,
Yeah.
like you said, and while you were talking, it's awesome that we have this conversation because, all paths lead towards God, all paths lead towards home. But, when we can have access to different types of perspectives and views, that's incredible because then it just validates the exact experience that I noticed on my personal life, but also with clients. And it's, the most energy gets stuck because it's the heart, because the heart energy is the energy, because normally, like you said, the energy needs to go straight up and rise. So it needs to be what's the English word? When you go up and then you have this one. What is that? Like this is
Like horizontal.
horizontal,
No?
and then you
Yeah.
have the other one.
Vertical.
What's vertical?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so vertical. So normally, the energy, life force energy, needs to go up vertically,
Yes.
and it gets stuck in the heart, and the heart does it horizontal,
Yeah.
and it does like the energy goes into the horizontal state because we hold on to anger, we hold on to like people who we don't want to forgive. We take all the energy and we go out.
Yeah.
We get like we point the energy out of our own equation and our out of our own being. And if we would know that, we would take or be more patient with us and ourselves. And when you said that the energy gets stuck in the heart, that's exactly what I notice in different practices as well. But it's the thing, it's in the end of the day, it's resentment,
Yeah.
it's the lack of forgiveness for themselves, for ourselves, for our parents, for the people who hurt us, for people that we hurt. It's like all of that stuff, and it's superhuman. Like this is superhuman.
Absolutely. It absolutely, Bella. Yeah, you're spot on. And it's all this resentment, lack of forgiveness for self and others, and all of that you're talking about. It literally creates a physical armoring behind the heart, right?
Yeah.
And think about like when you can tell so much about what a person is going through or what they've gone through in their past by like what they're holding behind their heart. So think about a person whose spine is really hunched over because
Yeah.
they've created that much armoring, that much protection in their lives that they literally have to like hunch over to make sure their heart is not accessible.
Yeah.
And then the spine compensates, right? And so it creates this big, literally like it looks like an armoring in your back in the thoracic area that makes sure that nobody can get through either side, basically. The problem with this kind of posturing, and I think unfortunately most of us have it, especially because aside from the emotional stuff, look at what we do all day long. We stare down at our phones. We're
Yeah.
hunching over constantly. Our shoulders are
Yeah.
hunched over. Um, Also, there's another quote which is really interesting that I wanted to share.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of a tangent, but not really. So this Jungian psychologist and yoga teacher, Judith Harris, in body language, we can think of the potential to experience life as resting in the spinal column, right? So if we're all hunched over, we're not straight, we're not aligned, we're not receiving life force from above, we're not grounded to the earth below us because of our postures, we're, like our potential to experience life, just as this quote says, is greatly hindered, basically. So this heart armoring can literally affect the way we receive divine energy, electrical energy, the way our senses pick up on and perceive reality. So it's what we're talking about is it goes so much deeper than just like whether it's good or not to have good posture, or why is it good to have good posture. It's like, yeah, it's profound.
It's profound. And while you were talking again, a light bulb went on because now I'm like, oh, of course, that's the reason why when you do a meditation,
Yeah.
that your spine needs to be straight. It's, like when you have a proper meditation teacher, he will slap you around when you don't sit straight,
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
has a reason. And it also has a reason why your feet need to be on the floor, on the ground,
Yes.
or when you don't have the capacity to do that, at least like a wooden, like not a wooden, but a cotton blanket or something like this, so that you
Yeah.
are connected. And now it's just, while you were talking, I'm like, of course, because, like life force energy, the higher divine energy needs to access this exit point. And that's our head, yeah, but that's our spine. It needs to move through us.
A 1,000%. Yes, that's exactly why. And it's funny because I just signed up to do the self-realization fellowship yoga teachings. It's Paramahansa Yogananda's
Ooh,
teachings. Basically, it's like
cool.
yeah, it's super cool. It's the precursor to Kriya Yoga. And
Wow.
the first lesson is literally all about posture for meditation. Like he doesn't even go into any of the details of what to do during the meditation. It's
Hmm.
literally just preparation. It's getting your spine so aligned, getting your body so relaxed that you can be the strongest, most aligned conduit for that divine energy to move through you. So yeah, it's really incredible. Yeah, and like spot on of you to make that connection because it's so true. Like, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
and
amazing. Mhm.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say you need to tell me about the teachings,
I
you need to
will.
tell
Yeah,
me
I'll.
how
Yeah,
it is, how it goes. I'm really curious about that.
yeah. I'll tell you once I get deeper into the lessons. I'm very happy
Yeah.
to share with you. Yeah. But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So I was just going to say, even having awareness of our
Hmm.
spine could be the first step in creating more alignment there, because especially in this really future oriented society that we live in, where we're constantly just thinking about the future and what's ahead, and we're anxious about planning and doing and all of this. We're not present in our bodies at all, and we're
Yeah.
certainly not connected to our back bodies. So like this is such a beautiful and simple practice that people could do on a daily basis whenever they remember, is especially when they're not feeling grounded or present, is just to bring their consciousness, bring their awareness into their back body. Literally allow your mind to inhabit your back body, even if it's for 3 seconds. Doesn't
Hmm.
matter. The more awareness you bring to the back, the more grounded you'll be, the more present you'll be, and the more you'll actually be able to experience life as it is without distortion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for this tip. That's incredible. And it will,
Absolutely.
yeah, it reminds me of the Soham breathing technique.
Yes. Yes.
where you really, I think we touched base also on that, on this, yeah, when we had our conversation before,
Yeah.
and it's really being present and being conscious about the way we move our breath through our spine.
Yes, and thank you for saying this because this brings me to the next thing that I wanted to share, which is so fascinating. As you're saying about the Soham breathing, and we can, I don't remember how deeply we went into it last time, but it's a specific type of breath that a lot of different ancient yogic practices promoted. Basically, you bring your awareness to the base of the spine, so the tailbone, the sacrum area, and then through awareness and conscious breath, you inhale energy all the way up the spine, around the back of the head, and you land it around the forehead in the third eye, right? And then you hold there for a moment, and then on the exhale, you move the energy down all the way back to the sacrum, and then you just keep going. And so
Yeah.
this is like we learned this practice definitely from Ray and Colby at Creakin, from Derek. But then, I've also heard it from other yoga teachers. So it's something that people use a lot
Yeah.
to bring more awareness and to activate the energy in the spine. And so I was very curious about this practice because every time I did it, I felt like this incredible tingly energy was moving up my spine. It started to feel like golden nectar moving up my spine, and it felt incredible. And so I started to do some research on why this, might be feeling so powerful. And that's when I discovered this guy's work. This guy is named Dr. Mauro Zappaterra, and he's a researcher. He's based here in California.
Oh, cool.
And he researches all things to do with the cerebrospinal fluid, which is the fluid that gets produced in the brain that basically bathes the brain and the whole central nervous system, so the spinal cord and the brain. And it's a fluid that we basically learn nothing about in school. I didn't even know it existed until a few years ago. And yet, I actually think it's probably one of the most profound and powerful fluids that we hold in the body. And so, through his work, what he basically came to the conclusion of is that this fluid, it's 99% water. So it's the most water-based fluid in the body. And as we know, water is electrically conductive, right? So his conclusion, and this is definitely the conclusion I'm coming to as well, is that because it's the most electrically conductive fluid in the body, it is the fluid that allows energy to move from the external through our brains and through the spine and the central nervous system. And it literally conducts energy, God source, life force, all of that in our systems. It's like the transducer. It's bringing in the energy from source and translating it into something that the body can absorb or take on. I'm not saying this very eloquently, but it's
No, I love
basically it's
it.
like
I
it's
understand it.
so like in really simple terms. This may be too
Yeah.
simplistic, but it's the fluid through which God can enter our bodies, and it runs just along the spine, the brain and the spine. So what's also really interesting is that it's produced in the third ventricle of the brain, which is the same area that the yogis called the third eye, or the Taoists called the crystal palace. I think the yogis called it the cave of Brahman. But it's that really energetically activated part in the brain near the pituitary and the pineal gland, where people talk about, how they have God experiences, how they have psychedelic experiences. It's in this part of the brain where this stuff is produced. And then it bathes the brain and it goes all the way down the spinal cord, and it also goes all the way into the sacrum. And that's really interesting too, because the ancient yogis talked about how our kundalini, our life force, sits at the base of the spine, at the sacrum. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this fluid, this electrically active fluid, sits there as well. And then when you do something like the Soham breath, where you're consciously using breath and awareness to move up the spine, you're actually, what Mauro discovered is that the breath and the awareness actually helps to move this liquid through the spine. So you're literally activating this kundalini energy with the help of this fluid. Like, I don't actually think we would be able to do any of this, reaching higher states of consciousness, activating energy through the spine. I don't think we'd be able to do any of that if it weren't for this really sacred fluid in our bodies.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah,
This is so
absolutely.
cool because everyone, yeah, I would ask you to also send me the name again so I can
Yeah,
link that also,
absolutely.
down into the description box because,
Yeah.
of course, everyone needs to make their own homework in regards to their researches and how deep they want to go as well.
Yeah.
But this is amazing because I did a little bit of my homework, as I said in a couple minutes before, and that was because Derek, our teacher, mentioned the DNA, and I went deeper into that and also looked up other sources. And so what I will share here is totally, like that's not my own research. I just, like wrote it down so I can share this with you as well because I found that amazing. So DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. And deoxy has Latin roots. It comes from deus, and deus means God.
Wow, I just got chills.
Yeah, and I found that so cool because I was so excited to find that. And then you have next is ribo. It's a Semitic language. It should say something to you, I think, because ribo is the same as rabbi, or in Arabic, Rob, which means master, the Lord. Then,
Wow. Okay.
yeah, then here we have God, Lord, and Master. Then there is nucleic acid. Nucleic means at the center, and acid is like chemical fire. Means God, the Lord and Master, the fire at the center of my being, at the center of creation. So
Wow. Mic drop.
I found this amazing and like it goes even deeper because the Bible says, in the beginning was the word Om,
Yeah.
and the word was God. Then it says, after many days, the word became flesh and dwelt among men. Well, that's the DNA. So the DNA is God and your unique expression. Your soul is the fire at the center of your being, and it exists in the body at the core and essential part of who you are. It's the spine.
Wow. That's incredible, Bella. Where did you look this up through Derek's work or where did you find it?
Yeah, so Derek mentioned that in one of his workshops. And
Yeah.
then, of course, he says, like, but I'm not telling you everything. Just go out and do your own research and homework.
Yeah.
And then I found, I'm sorry, I needed to do a shout out to this man, but you will find him because um, he is the guy who said all of that.
Okay.
I found him
Is it Greg
online.
Braden?
I don't know. I
Okay.
actually don't have a name right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
But I can
No
look it
worries.
up and I can also yes, write it also down into the description box because
Yeah.
yeah, he definitely needs to get a shout out for that. But
Yeah.
it's so cool because you can feel the truth in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, he also said that um that every molecule, every protein, every substance in your body was coded for program for in the DNA. But how did it get expressed as a protein, say in muscle or in bone? So it needed this, and that's what I found really interesting, was it needed a messenger. So the messenger, it's what it's now called in our system, mRNA. And that's now from Derek again, what got hijacked through the what's injection in regards to COVID, the mRNA, because our capacity to heal ourselves got hijacked through this specific injection. I'm not against vaccines at all. I'm against about the specific vaccine because I'm pretty sure that it did something with our DNA. It fucked something incredible up. And I do have the feeling that it's connected to, what I just said.
That's so fascinating, Bella. And I mean, you know that I'm of a similar mindset to you.
Yeah.
And I would be more extreme. I'm more extreme on the, I will not be ever putting any vaccine in my body ever again, whether it's mRNA or not. But it is really interesting, so the idea is messing with the messenger, right? And so, and what you said is messing with the body's capacity to heal itself, right? To rebalance itself. And then I would say zooming out on a greater scale, it's messing with our potential to realize our God selves. Because that, I think, is, I don't want to get too doom and gloom, but I think there is some sort of agenda out there. I don't know who or what or why, and we don't have to get into that, but there are some beings out there who do not want us to realize how powerful we are, how incredible our bodies are. Our bodies are literally the most advanced technology ever. No AI will ever be able to compete with the intelligence of our bodies and the complexity of our bodies. And we have the capacity through the DNA, like you're saying, through the cerebrospinal fluid, through every part of the body to activate it so that we can connect to our source. And yet there are, certain games at play in the world at large that are, making sure that we don't know this, right? And yeah, it's and I'm really not doom and gloom about it, because I think conversations like this are proving that we're not falling for that,
Yeah, and I also believe in the end of the day that energy grows where you give energy to. And the thing is, when it's rooted in fear, of course, you will create more fear. But also, when you already have a vaccine, when you have the injection or whatsoever, when you are, when you are, in love, when you are in truth, when you are in peace, when you are in non-violence, when you are in right action, like the five values, there's nothing to worry or anything. The only thing is using discernment in today's world is the most essential part that I will probably say here to do that, and having, amazing holistic guides who are in such integrity and in such, yearn to be on point with their work that they offer and in supporting humanity. That's what you do. You're supporting humanity. You're supporting people. You're helping them to activate their self-healing capacity and their body's intelligence to do that. And I find this fascinating, Coco. And I'm excited about where else it will go, and I'm also excited for myself to experience this also in person soon.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to experience it in person. I think you will absolutely love it. And, we could even experiment with some remote spinal flow on you and see
Oh,
if you
yeah.
can feel anything. Because I'm
Yeah.
kind of playing around with that right now. But I think you would really love it because it's, especially, you're a very energetically sensitive person, and a little bit goes a long way with you. I've seen that in you. And so the beauty of this method is that it's so gentle. It works with the intelligence of your body, so it's never forcing your body to do anything it doesn't want to do. And at the same time, it goes very deep, and you can really access not only deep states of healing, but deep states of consciousness.
And honestly, beautiful word to the end, consciousness, raising our consciousness, our own consciousness, but also the world consciousness. That's what's happening currently, and sometimes, and you experience this also in your own life, sometimes something needs to break in order to come full circle back together and even more powerful. And the chaos that we probably notice and see around us will vanish soon, because through the chaos, something new can be rebuilt and something new can be reborn. And I found this, what you shared today in our second podcast, in our part 2, was very profound and very deep. And I just want to say thank you. And is there anything, before we closing out, is there anything that you didn't say that you really wanted to say? I really want to, please yeah, take the frame and that's not the saying, but please let me know if there's anything else that you would like to share with us today.
Thank you, Bella. I don't know. I mean, there was something that I was maybe going to mention. I just think this is so cool, and maybe just like a thought to leave people with about, because we often talk about, especially in the energy healing world, we talk about how we hold the experiences of our ancestors in our bodies, right? And the spine, a lot of people talk about how the spine is like our record keeper of the past, right? Of past lives potentially, or just our ancestry. What's really fascinating is that this cerebrospinal fluid that's in the spine and the central nervous system, it comes from our mother's amniotic fluid. So it gets produced from the fluid that is in the womb when you're developing as a fetus. And then it turns into our cerebrospinal fluid. So if you think about it, you are literally holding the energetics of your mother's waters in your own cerebrospinal water. And
Wow.
so that takes the idea of, like ancestral imprint to a whole different level. It's like you have a homeopathic dilution of her energy, her experiences, her karmas, all of that in your spine. And that's, it's really profound, and also all the more reason to really focus on nourishing those waters, on
Right.
healing the spine, on opening up, on clearing the baggage from the spine, so that for future generations that fluid can be much clearer for the next generations. I would
Yeah.
say, yeah, that's probably the last point that I wanted to share, and just again, a reminder to just really, as much as you can, just connect to your back body, connect to your spine, bring your awareness there. Even better if you can do breath practices or consciousness practices that move through the spine. It will change you, I promise.
Thank you. That is incredible. And
Yeah.
yeah, like I can just say, listen to the first episode in case you didn't do it, because Aniko also shared a little bit, also what you can do when you don't have her close to you where you live. You mentioned Kundalini yoga, like not all of that, but like really movement, like focusing on moving the spine, opening up the spine, doing the cat and cow and movement and everything. don't go, like don't over accelerate, because that can also be too much. Just like find your middle path, right? Is there anything else that people can do in case they just want to clear out anything what they don't want to carry with them anymore?
Yeah, I would say the other thing that I'll mention, aside from just doing all these exercises that really open up the spine, is also working with the fascia. I would say is really important because the fascia is like our communication network of the whole body. It's like the body's Wi-Fi kind of.
Yeah.
And if there's stuckness, if there's adhesion in the fascia, it can literally pull the spine out of alignment. Like if there's adhesion in the back fascia chain. So really working with the fascia, there's so many like YouTube videos that you can search about releasing fascia movements that you can use, more stationary therapies. Like I do this thing called block therapy, which you're literally putting this wooden block under certain parts of the fascia. You're melting the fascia with the block for several minutes at a time. You could do myofascial release, but that will also really help to free up your spine because, again, the fascia is kind of pulling the skeleton out of alignment. So, yeah, that would be the other thing I would suggest.
Thank you, Coco. That was an incredible conversation today. Again.
Thank you, Bella. I love chatting with you. It's always so much fun. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it won't be the last time. I'm looking
I know.
forward. Maybe we can start some, monthly things that would be amazing.
I would love that. Yeah, that would be incredible.
And
Yeah.
for now, where can people find you? What's the best way to contact you?
Yes, so I did actually recently do a rebrand. So I switched from my business name used to be Therify Los Angeles. I switched to Within.
Yes.
And my website is withinla.com. So within is just WITHINLA.com. And you can find all my information there as well as the link to my Instagram. I just started a new Instagram, so it's slow rolling right now. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
That's amazing. Okay. Yeah. I think I still said your old,
It's so
name in the
okay.
beginning. I apologize, listeners. I apologize. It's within LA. I will link the website in the description box, and if you have any questions, please reach out to Coco in person, or you can also reach out to me. Yeah, and for that, again, thank you for this beautiful conversation, and
Thank you.
talk to you soon. I love you.
Thank you, Bella. I love you too. Bye.
Bye.